This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
The year is 2021. The last hope for mankind has been entrusted to a lone courier known as Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny?
Who are you? Now, he's a threat to the powerful, a target to be eliminated. And this summer, he's the future's most wanted fugitive. Keanu Reeves is Johnny Mnemonic. Rated R. At theaters Friday.
Cool, you guys. Step back, frickin' frack. Ernie's on the attack.
I'm desperately afraid.
Deranged, trippy, and extremely funny.
Gentlemen, you are about to witness the perfect homemade silencer.
That sure is some silencer.
A pitch-perfect portrait of life in deadbeat slackerdom.
Kid me. Kid me.
Richard Linklater's funniest movie in years.
Yes, but no. But yes.
A Scanner Darkly. Rated R. In theaters July 7th.
There is a reason human cloning is banned.
Initiate.
We stole millions of dollars worth of biodine equipment.
I didn't defy every natural law there is just to lose you again.
Those 3 subjects are our property.
How could you do this?
Because I love you.
Replicas, rated PG-13, in theaters January 11th.
We mixed, we loaded, we edited.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
I mean, I've tried reading this Scanner Darkly, and there's a lot of stuff going on in that. Because I was a big fan of that movie with Keanu Reeves, that Rose Grove animated movie.
You beat me to the segue. But it's true.
Trying to understand Philip K. Dick's text in A Scanner Darkly is just a lot because he goes back and forth so much, and it's very complicated. It's a very difficult read to do. So I don't know if anyone's read that.
It's kind of like Asimov, kind of in a way. He's got this premise, and you're just trying to make sense of it all. Because, like you say, you got to put your imagination to the test. And much like Lord of the Rings or Dune, you got to make sense of all the way the dialects and how everyone's talking.
How did the animated movie for Scanner Darkly compare to the book?
I like the animated movie very much because they took that plot and they made it more cohesive. They made it understandable. The book, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and in my mind, I could just not follow all the storylines that were going on in that book. The movie, I think Richard Linklater, and he got the honors of his daughters to make that movie. He wanted to be fair, and I think the movie does a good adaptation of the book because there's just so much stuff in that book, and the way that Linklater was able to streamline it into a cohesive storyline was actually very, very good. And I think they all pay homage and respect to Linklater in that one. So yeah, because that story is about Linklater, he did have this house where he had a whole bunch of people in that house experimenting with drugs and everything, and he was part of that lifestyle, and he wanted to create a story about having these people.
He's got personal experience, so it's basically his exploits, video with his acting friends, reenacting it, and it forms that perfect cyberpunk trilogy with Keanu Reeves. And we're not talking The Matrix. We're talking,
Johnny Mnemonic.
Yep.
For the game.
Scanner Darkly, and then have you guys seen Replicas?
Yes.
Really? Okay, perfect. So that one just flew under the radar.
What about Soldier too? Soldier is another
same deal. Yes, Soldier.
It's supposed to be in the same
so they're all in the same universe, huh?
Yeah.
Basically, and but I mean, I truly recommend Replicas because, like, Keanu was playing a straight face. Jeffrey Nachmanoff, who had worked on a lot of different thriller movies and TV, just had a really decent script of just a mad scientist realizing that this corporation is going to probably threaten his family. So they do a good job of just having some suspense. You don't know what he's going to do in that lab, and they reveal it when it needs to be revealed. But I mean, Mnemonic, yeah, same deal. I know, Vern, you love it uncut. When I kind of had a love-hate relationship with it growing up. I'm like, there's some cool ideas. It's kind of junky. But then I see the uncut, Japanese, German cut. I'm like, that's the version everyone should have seen. Now we know why everyone's shooting at him. Now totally different narration. You know, the theatrical felt like a Total Recall knockoff. The uncut version definitely felt closer to Blade Runner and nowadays Altered Carbon. You know, that whole, here's the city, here's where he lives. He's not a nice guy, but he doesn't mean anything ill will, but he's a career criminal, so the people he's doing business with, you know, are going to try and kill him. But, what would you do if you had all this info downloaded into your head? And what a cool catchphrase.
Yeah.
You got to offload it, otherwise your brain is toast. Your head could literally explode.
And I'm very curious, and I'm curious too when they made the black and white version of Giant Mnemonic.
I think it was more recent. Like, it just was them testing out Blu-ray.
Okay, I mean, why did they put the director's cut version of that into there? So
I think they're still working on it, but
they're working on. Okay,
but you guys did mention some other cool points. I mean, Philip K. Dick. It's kind of like Outer Limits. It does make you wonder, you know, why did it take a while for Hollywood to fall in love with his material? You know, and make various
that's
things.
With every director. It takes time because they bring out something new. And look at the time frame. 80s.
Like, it took years for William Gibson to be adapted to Amazon. You know.
Yeah, but it was the 80s too, and the 80s was focused on
Mnemonic
tropes and
Gibson,
trends.
But still, yeah.
A lot of it ahead of its time. Like, I mean, Hollywood doesn't know how to adapt to certain things.
Word. Let's use teenagers that are 30 years old.
Well, and to Vern's point, I mean, any other filmmaker probably would have goofed up Scanner Darkly. They would have probably overthought it, and the fact that he said this has to be animated, you know, we got to have all these characters look like they're talking to the viewer. You know, Robert Downey, he'll bring his type of snark. You know, Rory Cochrane and Winona Ryder will be their usual quirky selves, and Keanu's stretching himself a bit by, you know, doing his usual kind of deep narration. You know, and I think Ethan Hawke was in there also.
I don't think not Ethan Hawke.
Surprisingly, he wasn't.
I know it. Roy Cochrane, Woody Harrelson was in there.
Harrelson, yes. Harrelson was definitely the scene still.
The whole thing with the bite, the missing wheels of the bite, or the missing gears on the bite was great.
Yes. They can't put the simplest things that we could put together back together.
And being the fact that it is set in the future of, like, I think it was like few years ahead of us, but using that rotoscope animation technique makes it feel like it's in a different world, like a different environment.
That's what I couldn't remember either. If Sin City had tried that.
No, Sin City was black and white.
Yeah, that was just okay. So digital overlay, but yeah, rotoscoping would be cool to look at the history of that. Like, when did that start being a thing?
Ralph Bakshi, I imagine, was good.
Oh,
okay. Even back, I think I went back even farther than that, even with Disney, maybe even.
Like, lots of like Fleischer cartoons use like
shoot.
A lot of like Disney stuff used rotoscoping. The animation of Sleeping Beauty and Snow White was a lot of it.
And Lord of the Rings.
Yep, Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
The Ralph Bakshi. Yep. Oh, but he was the sort of like the Ralph Bakshi was the person that sort of like made rotoscoping big technical aspects.
Their feature length kind of thing.
Yeah. Like a lot of people were using rotoscoping as a way to like test stuff. So I know that Disney used rotoscoping as a way to like test movement out for animation, and then the animators actually use hand-drawn animation, but they use rotoscoping as like a guide. So they had sequences where they rotoscoped over a woman dancing for Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, but then they used that as sort of like a template
Mike
to
and
do
I,
hands-on animation.
Mike and I and Gil were even hitting on Nick Park and some of the other stop motion. It seemed like sometimes they would do that too. In those behind-the-scenes documentaries, they would have directors and actors on stage reenacting stuff, and they'd take the dailies, and the animators would try and animate around that, which is interesting. You know, it's not the same as here's a green dot, you know, follow the dot, you know, look at it.
Yeah.
And Will, yeah, you got some great trivia here. Philip K. Dick is the Ezra Pound of science fiction. I have never heard it worded that way, but I will take your word for that. That is
that piece of knowledge cost me $600 in 1995 for my intro to English, intro to American literature. That's where I learned who he was.
Ezra Pound, for those who don't know, poet and critic.
Right. You know, he was in jail a few times during the Second World War. Anyway, but he's one of those authors that is definitely of his time, and definitely not an author that, you know, definitely grew up in the 60s and 70s in a literary sense. I mean, he's older than that. But Philip K. Dick is deep. And unfortunately, I think Minority Report, Total Recall, Screamers to a small degree, Blade Runner, of course, they're better movies than books. Oh, and, Skinner Darkly. I tried to read most of his books, and I did do that. I apparently didn't take enough pharmaceuticals in order to enjoy them. But, you know...
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Better Call Daddy Show, the #1 podcast where we admit, no matter what happens, Daddy has the advice we need to fix our problems.
Introducing my dad, Mr. Wayne Friedman.
That was good. It would be nice if you could also sing a song.
What would the song be?
You love Paris in the springtime. I just made up some words to it.
I love Rena in the springtime. I love Rena in the fall.
That's right. That's good enough.
What I do is interview people of interest, share it with my dad, and get my dad's advice. My dad is my hero. Nobody's got my daddy.
Oh boy, let's go to Grandpa.
You like to be a little rebel. I tried to rein you in. I have a daughter named Rena that acts just like I did. She's got a son that is not only just like me, but it's just like her.
I'm your host, Rena Friedman Watts.
Invite your friends, subscribe, and I'm excited to take this journey with you.
Let's dive in.
She was teasing this guy with this sword, and she accidentally cut his dick.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
And then he started to enjoy it.
I started going down the phone sex rabbit hole. You've got the wankers, and they jerk off in 5 seconds, and then they're done because A, they don't want to spend money, and B, they're quick.
My stepfather had mania. If I'm yelling at one of my kids, that fear, that rigid fear.
Mom even said to me, I hope you have a kid just like you.
There are lots of people that are being bought and sold right now for profit.
If you think you're going to kill yourself, shut up and kill yourself. If you're not going to kill yourself, then shut up, smarten up, and it's all on you. The bullshit has to end.
Wow.
When I was 11 years old, I was raped and molested over the course of a year.
What Jeffrey Epstein had was a sickness inside of him.
I am Evan Castrilli Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe that I can.
I'm so excited too. Let's go.
Next on Better Call Daddy with my mom and my grandpa.
Stay tuned.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up